Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is slay. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you might see slay used is to mean to kill someone or something in a violent way. One of our very loyal viewers, Robert, requested this particular verb, and the first thing that came to my mind were really kind of old stories, maybe with a monster, a dragon, something like that. And I feel like that's when I would see slay used. So kind of a story about good versus evil, and we hope, right, that good will win. So that might result in someone killing or someone or something sort of in a violent way. The second definition, and maybe more of a modern way to hear slay used, is to mean to murder. So sometimes, again, as you watch the news, you might hear slay used to mean murder. The third and fourth definitions of this verb are going to have a very different meaning. So our first two here, kind of negative, violent. Third way to use slay is to mean to impress someone or amuse someone. You might be thinking like, oh my goodness, wow, that is so different than that first or second definition. And I think the origin of this comes a little bit from like someone's laughing so hard that they think they're gonna die. And so that's kind of that idea of amusing. So you're really greatly impressing or amusing someone. A fourth way, and I would say this is more slang and certainly more modern, the verb slay gets used when someone is being extremely impressive, particularly as it relates to their clothes. So they're very stylish. They might just look kind of really together, very impressive in their appearance. And sometimes you'll also hear it used to describe someone who's quite successful in their particular field. Now, this verb slay is pretty interesting because it can both be a regular and an irregular verb. Now, our progressive form of this is always going to stay the same. We're adding ing to the end of this verb, and the reason for that is the a and the y together are making a vowel sound. So this is not our normal consonant vowel consonant ending. So that's we never really double a y. So uh, the progressive form again, I would say pronounce it as slaying. Let's talk about the irregular form of this verb. So, again, if we're reading really old stories, uh, maybe even in connection to movies, of other things of that nature, and we're talking about killing or murdering, I think it's more common for you to hear this irregular past tense. So that's slew. It's pronounced slew. If it helps you remember, it rhymes with the color blue. So slew. And then the irregular participle form would be slain, Slain. Now, when it comes to our third and fourth definition, so impressing, amusing, being very stylish, it's more common to hear slay used as a regular verb. And so the past tense and the participle form, we would just add ed to the base verb there. Our base verb slay ends in a vowel sound, so we're going to make a D sound as we pronounce the past tense and participle form. And we're not adding an extra syllable as we do that. So slayed is how that should sound. Now, the other thing I should note, I did a little reading on this because I wasn't all that certain about it. I think in the UK, it's going to be less likely that you hear slayed, Slayed, than if you're in the United States. But I am far from a British English expert, so just keep that in mind based on maybe where you're studying or where you're taking a trip, visiting, vacationing, or living. Uh, English can always sound a little different or look a little different as well. Now, I don't have any phrasal verbs for us to study, so instead, we are going to look at some sample sentences with our verb of the day, slay. I thought it would be good for us to practice the simple past tense to show you a little bit of the differences you might encounter as you're reading or listening to others. We're also going to talk about the present progressive today. Let's start with the simple past tense. We use this to describe an action that was completed at some known point in the past. And the nice thing about this verb tense is that our structure in the affirmative, the negative, our yes or no questions, it's all going to be the same no matter what our subject is. Okay, so I've got two affirmative examples because I wanted to note that the that we might see different forms of that particular verb. So let's look at my first example here. Lady Gaga slayed on the Grammys red carpet. Okay, so this is going to go to that fourth definition. She was very glamorous, very stylish, very beautiful. I saw headlines like this all over the internet after this particular event a few weeks ago. Now, if we use our irregular past tense, you might find it in a sentence like this: the princess slew the dragon. So again, maybe in a story or a movie, this would mean to kill. Okay. Let's look at making negative simple past tense sentences. So to do this, uh, our structure here is going to be did, not, and then the base verb. And this structure is going to apply no matter what our meaning is. So whether we mean impress or kill, this structure will stay the same. So an example here, the prince didn't slay the dragon, right? We just said the princess did it. Now let's look at making a yes or no question. To do this, again, our structure will be the same no matter what our meaning is. So we'll start with did, then we'll have our subject, and then the base verb. Here's another example. Did the comedian slay the audience? So here, this would be that amusing meaning. So were they laughing so hard? That's what we mean by that yes or no question. Now let's take a look at the present progressive. You might hear this also called the present continuous, means the same thing. I like saying present progressive because it helps me remember that there are two parts, right? I need a present form of be, and then I need the ing form of the verb. So present form of be, am, is, or are. And again, we're paying attention to that subject. We're using the present progressive to talk about something that's happening right now or something that's in progress. So for my first example situation, I want you to imagine I'm with my friends. This friend is telling this hilarious story, right? And I'm laughing so hard and I go, oh my gosh, he's slaying me. So again, that's that amusing definition, our third one we discussed earlier. If I want to make a negative present progressive sentence, my structure is again going to be to start with the present form of be that matches our subject, then we'll use not, then the ing form of the verb. You can see that in the example. I'm not slaying monsters in this video game. So again, we might hear this verb used to describe action in a video game or a movie, a TV show as well. Finally, let's look at making a yes or no question. Right? To do this, I'm going to start with my form of be that matches my subject. The subject comes next. Then I use the ing form of the verb. A yes or no question example would be, are Russian soldiers slaying civilians in Ukraine? And it makes me sad that I have to ask this question in the present progressive. As I record this video, there are still many instances where this is happening regularly. This is an unfortunate event that is in progress. Many people continue to be killed or murdered as you kind of view those particular events. Now, let's take a moment to look at some words that are related to our verb slay. And the first word we're going to look at is the noun slayer. Right? So that suffix er generally means a person who, and in this case, a person who kills either a person, an animal, and generally we're thinking of that being done in a violent way. So, my example here, maybe a little funny. Have you watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Right? There's a movie and a TV show with this name, so Slayer is in the title. And the idea is that this particular character kills vampires and maybe other monsters that she encounters. So that was the first thing that came to mind when I thought of that particular noun. Another related word you might hear is the noun slain. So sometimes I hear this in connection to news reports of a murder. So that's just another way to refer to the action of killing or murdering. So an example of this might be, have they identified any suspects in the slaying? Okay. This sentence would have the same meaning if I had said, have they identified any suspects in the murder? Okay. One last word. We talked about the irregular form of the past tense of the verb slay. We said that was slew. You might hear slew used as a noun to mean that there's a large quantity of something. So, an example of how I saw this used recently was the latest Zoom update has brought a slew of new features to the app. Right? So, there are all sorts of new things that you can do in Zoom as that software continues to be updated and improved. Again, I want to thank Robert for making the suggestion, and I encourage anyone watching this video or any others, please make a comment. Tell me if you have a verb you'd like me to discuss. I welcome your suggestions. And I really appreciate you watching. I hope you have a great day.